And he is an international fugitive from the criminal justice system of the United States of America. That is what he is. That is why the law that is relevant to him is called the Fugitive Offenders Act.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of...
After being arrested and taken before the court on the same day by men disguised in black facial coverings in what looked like a scene from an espionage movie, High Court Magistrate Julie Lachman sent Azruddin Mohamed home on $150,000 bail, and so was his father, Nizar Mohammed. You're tuned in to the final takeaway. So, the Mohammeds were arrested as part of an extradition procedure started by the United States. Bail was granted after the men's legal defense team, led by attorney Sian Durjan, made a fierce legal argument that destroyed the government-paid prosecutors' reason for why the court should deny the men bail. News that the men were free to go home sent shockwaves throughout the country and left certain politicians grossly disappointed. And why were they not pleased? Well, because of what they expected. Here's what should have happened. They wanted the Mohammeds to be denied bail. The men were supposed to be remanded to prison instead and held in custody until their extradition proceedings were complete. They were supposed to be stuck in a cell, and the next time they see the light of day was when they were going to be extradited, placed on a plane, and sent to the U.S. to face charges. But Magistrate Lachman's decision may have changed everything. Is she the outlier? If the men were jailed instead of bailed, only heaven knows how long they would have been stuck in prison on remand. It could have been weeks, months, years, who knows? Besides, keeping Azruddin Mohamed locked away would mean he won't be in Parliament having any type of political influence on governance in Guyana. Who knows? He might have turned into a political prisoner. But moving on. After the main plan backfired and failed epically, what did they do? They switched to plan B. They're now claiming Azruddin is a fugitive. In other words, someone running from the law. Do you know why? So that they can possibly rearrest him and his father on new warrants of arrest. Argue that he's a fugitive running away from prosecution by the U.S. and on those bases try to convince the court to remand him to prison. And don't even get me started on the types of things that can happen when you're in a Guyana prison. That's a very, very vulnerable place for the Mohammeds to be, especially Azruddin, who heads the opposition. Remember Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire financier who ran a human trafficking enterprise trading young girls and who may have had dirt on top U.S. officials? What happened to Epstein while he was locked up in a high-security prison in New York City? They said he took himself out. Conspiracy theorists believe they did him in. But let's talk more about this bizarre claim that Azruddin Mohamed is a fugitive wanted by the U.S. but is running away from the law. Let's bring in Guyana's Attorney General Anil Nandlall.
Victimhood mentality you're seeing playing out here. This guy is the victim. And he is an international fugitive from the criminal justice system of the United States of America. That is what he is. That is why the law that is relevant to him is called the Fugitive Offenders Act. He is a fugitive, a criminal fugitive. Well, a fugitive is a criminal of the U.S. criminal justice system. And the people want to take him there to try him for the offense that he committed here. And he's kicking and screaming as he's going. That is what it is, an errant child who doesn't want to go and face the consequences of their actions. This process is to ensure that people account for their deeds or misdeeds, if you wish. That is what this process is.
You can go ahead and fact check me if I'm wrong. But as far as we are aware, Azruddin Mohamed was never legally categorized as a fugitive from the United States, as AG Nandlall and other officials are claiming. Have you ever seen a wanted bulletin issued by the US for these men, or any publication calling them fugitives? The US knows where these men are 24/7. Have you ever heard the US put out a bolo for these men, a be on the lookout for Azruddin or Nazar? Come on now. That's like insulting people's intelligence. Before the men were arrested, they were living normal lives in Guyana. They are living normal lives in Guyana. They are not in hiding. They were not in hiding. They are not in hiding still. Even after they were arrested and released on bail, they were living in plain sight. Azruddin even successfully campaigned publicly and won the opposition. He did not run to another country like Suriname or Brazil or wherever you can easily go to from Guyana without a passport. And if the Mohammeds were fugitives, why didn't the Guyana government, hand them over since they were sanctioned by the US last year? They were right there for the taking. What prevented the government? We have to ask, are officials afraid of the Mohammeds? You could even argue that if they were fugitives and they were allowed to live like regular citizens in Guyana, then who was harboring these so-called fugitives? And by whom, I mean which country was harboring these men? Of course, that's a rhetorical question. The Mohammeds are not a threat to the US as certain political officials are making it seem. They are a threat to those who want to keep them out of politics. Azruddin, to be more specific. Out of nowhere, he amassed enough voter support to become Guyana's opposition leader. Don't worry about all the hoops they say he has to jump through to be officially named the opposition leader. All of that antics is just simply part of the bureaucracy. What really happened is this: the secret plans, the strategies, the collusions, and the conspiracies, all of it backfired. Some of you are waiting for the checkmate moment. Don't be surprised if the Mohammeds are never extradited to the US. Don't be surprised if all of this is just a show, not by the US, but by you-know-who. There is a real possibility the extradition may not even happen because too much is at stake for those who are implicated, but the names are not made public as yet in those sealed dockets down in Florida.